Hello, good morning from myself as well. And thank you, Konstantinos, for the invitation. It's great to be here and hear all these interesting presentations. I managed to check some stuff yesterday as well. I can't say that I got everything, but it's still nice to see that research is done on several topics and areas that I'm not that familiar. So before going into my talk, I would like to give some daily examples just to understand the context of my presentation. So there are various people that do exercise and, they do their jogging. I'm not that kind of person, but, I would love to be. So we can imagine that people do their exercise. They would like to listen to an audiobook while they do their exercise. Many people listen to music, but many people maybe would like to listen to an audiobook with a specific voice, or even listen to their smartwatch, talking to them and giving them instruction if their pace is good or not. Another example would be, and I'm sure that you are kind of familiar with that, is when people drive and they listen to navigation. So whether it is Google Maps or whatever, and I tend to look at the screen, which is not actually correct, but many people like the voice. But you can imagine that you may be able to hear your messages with a specific voice, so not only of the voice of the device itself. And another would be maybe going back, to your house and imagine that you can listen to your digital assistant talking to you or reading your messages with the voice of your beloved person. So your friend, your wife, your baby, and so on and so forth. And one last very inspiring example is this scientist who had this fatal disease and he was using a complex system in order to be able to communicate all his thoughts and his research. So, all of these examples of our daily life have actually a common element, and that is the speech synthesis, or what you might hear as text to speech technology. And this has made the interaction with the machines, with devices, to feel more natural. And depending on what the voice and the quality of the voice is, then you feel that you might forget that it is a device or a machine, or you might feel that it is a robot behind the device. And speech synthesis is a topic which is, in the research ages now. It's not a new topic, but it has developed very, very quickly during the last maybe 10 years, and even quicker during the last 5 years. So let me give you an example when text-to-speech technology is tied with many more technologies together. So if we can play the video, please.
That looks good. Hi, Bixby. Bookmark this page.
Done. I added it.
Hi, Bixby. Scroll down. Hi, Bixby. How many teaspoons are in a tablespoon?
1 tablespoon is 3 teaspoons.
Hi, Bixby. Set the timer for 1 minute.
Okay. It started.
Hi, Bixby. Hi, Bixby. Accept on speakerphone. Hey, Mom.
Hey, honey. We'll be there in 5.
Minutes? Okay, great. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Bixby. Find pizza delivery near me on the web. Hi, Bixby. Dismiss the alarm. Thanks, Bixby.
Hey, no problem.
Mom, can I go watch my show?
Okay, you gotta clean this mess up first.
Okay, I got this. Hi, Bixby. Start auto cleaning. Life just gets better and better.
So these are examples of what we actually do, our team, what we do as a team, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. So this is the team of Innoetics. So I'm Georgios Vardaxoglou, and I'm the Chief Operation Officer of the team. And now we are part of the Samsung Group, and we are very proud of that and of what we have achieved during the last 5 years. So let me take you through our journey to understand what it takes to take academic research to an AI business application. And this is not always, an easy process or an easy trip, but I'll try to put everything together in a few slides. By the way, the voice that you could listen when Bixby was responding, these are the voices that the team is making and provides to the Samsung ecosystem for all countries and all devices. So, Innoetics as a company was founded about 15 years ago, and it was a spin-off. So it was a team of researchers working at the Institute of Speech and Language Processing. So everything was about, SPS, speech processing, and signal processing. And in 2007, the president of the research center of Athena Research Center, had this idea to set up a company because he was thinking that there was a commercial application and commercial opportunity there. So along with the four researchers, they decided to set up the company. And the technology that the company was building was a text-to-speech technology. So it was not about a digital assistant or any other technology like speech recognition, but it was only text-to-speech technology. In contrast with other companies, the company never received some funding, so we developed organically, and we didn't grow, in huge numbers. So we were very small company at the beginning. And let me give you a picture of that. So here you can see the headquarters of Innoetics. You might be thinking that it's, this shiny building, but it's actually a very, very small place next to the garage, next to the parking lot. So our office, the headquarters, what we used to say, was like 20 square meters. So it was not more than that. And, my screen was next to the other person, and we could almost like work at the same time in both screens. So what was our scope at the beginning? It was to develop state-of-the-art text-to-speech technology and try to integrate this to products and services of other companies. If I can describe this in a timeline, as other speakers said earlier on, this was not linear, so I just put it in a linear form, just to have a nice slide. But it's going ups and downs, and you go back and you do a lot of iterations. You develop the technology, you revise the technology, and so in 2006 the company started. In 2009, all the research was actually put aside, and a new technology for text-to-speech was developed by the team again. So all the engineers decided where this, the old technology could not go further in the market. The members of the company were actually researchers still. So it was not, a commercial team. And the team didn't know much about, what the market needs. And so we had to talk a lot of people. The Greek market was very, very small. Not many people knew, not even now, know in Greece what is text-to-speech technology. In 2013 and 2014, we managed to package our technology in with other products and services from other companies in Greece. So, for example, some announcements in the international airport were made by our technology. So people didn't understand that this was an engine talking, and thought that there is always a person talking at the gate and asking for people to get in line. Or many people when they call the banks or other organizations here in Greece, and when they listen to the instructions, would say, press number 1 or number 2. They think that there is a recording of a person, but there is no recording of a person. It's actually text-to-speech technology that's for most of the banks we have provided in the past. So in 2014, we were trying to develop the company, so we were trying to develop more and more technologies, and that meant that we were, trying to use our research that was used for a few languages and scale up, and try and develop an engine that can talk all languages. And this is when actually we also started to be acknowledged internationally, because this is where we understood that by focusing on a small market that didn't know our product, the window of opportunity was very, very small. So this is when we actually made the decision and targeted the big markets, which is the markets for English, whether it's American English or British English or even Indian English, and also the other European languages. And 2017, it was the breakout year for the company. So this is where we were acquired by the Samsung group, and that was a huge milestone for the team. At the time, we had also contact, with other big companies abroad. We were trying, to be in conferences and exhibitions, but we were happy to go with Samsung. So, as I said, this was not always an easy decision. We had First of all, we had to take our research and make it an actual commercial product, which means that we had to target what the customers needed and not only just create the technology. The technology by itself existed by other companies as well. So we had to reach the top quality of the technology, but also see how the customers wanted the technology in order to use it. And one of the biggest decision was, as Katerina also mentioned, was when we needed to pivot. Because at the beginning we had an idea about what we want to do and what we thought that the company would be able to do, but this is when we saw that we have to follow the market and address the market needs and target that. And that was one of the hardest decisions, many discussions. It's not an easy thing. And at the beginning, you might not understand that you need to change your scope. But when you get there and when you do that, then you realize that sometimes, this is what you needed to try. You don't know if it's going to succeed, but you have to try it. And then again, more and more big decisions and actions. Deciding or just having an idea doesn't mean anything. You have to take action. You have to go for it. You have to try. George, right, said it that you might fail. This is okay. You have to live with that. That's life. But one of the biggest decisions that we had to make is that we needed to focus on the company. So many of our research team, when they decided that this is what we wanted to do, they had to leave their academic career and focus on the company. And this is what also Alex mentioned, that if you are in research, you cannot just stay in research and let the company work by itself. The company will fly only if you focus on it. And this is what we try to do and become more extrovert. This is one of the, like genius photos that I did when I was in Germany. So we were trying at the time to showcase our company, our technology and our company. And that was in one of the biggest commercial exhibitions for technology and for IT. And I remember talking to companies like from Japan and US, and just showing every time, like from morning till very late in the evening, and play them files and listening to the voices and listening what the text to speech technology could do. So one of the questions that usually people ask us is, why did Samsung choose Innoetics? Because we were not the only company that were doing the text-to-speech technology at the time. So one of the first things, obviously, is that the quality of the voices is very high and still very high. So if you listen to Bixby Assistant, you might not understand that this is an engine. You might think it's pre-recorded messages, or you might think that it's like synthesized from small parts of speech together, but it's nothing of this. It's just an engine. So the quality of the technology was award-winning. We were going to a Blizzard Challenge, which is like a global competition for text-to-speech, and we were ranked first for several years in a row. And that brought us to attention of many companies in the US. Our technology was great as a research, but when we were acquired, was also market ready. So we are very proud that within the first month of the acquisition, our technology was developed in all the devices of Samsung within the first month. So that's a huge a milestone for us, and we're very proud of that. The team had great expertise in the field, and that's one of the very few things that you have from your own research. You build up expertise that not many people have, and that's your own diamond that you have to keep and focus and try to develop it, whether you go for academia or for industry. And one of the last things was that there was a cultural and also a vision match between us and Samsung. And if you're thinking of setting up a startup, the same would be if you need to raise capital. So we didn't raise capital from a VC, but if you need to do so, then you need to have a vision match. If the investor or an angel investor doesn't believe in your vision, then you are not going to get any funding. And how is now, what is the team now doing? So we have 3 pillars of work. We integrate our technology in the Samsung devices. We develop further the technology. So we used to start like 10 years ago, we were using unit selection, which is kind of technical terms, like a framework to develop speech. Now it's all about neural networks and, a bit of AI. I say that, AI is like everywhere, so I have to mention that. And we also try to expand and cover more and more languages. We work as the R&D hub of Samsung Electronics in Greece, and we try to act as a liaison between the Samsung group and tech teams and also research institutions like RTIN here. And we're trying to do our best. It's not always, easy to focus on the technology and on other stuff, but this is one of our goals. So let me give you an example how's life with Samsung, because this is like more internal stuff that you might not be able to see every day. So there is a Samsung digital city. This is in Korea. So obviously, if you work for Samsung, it is very probable that you will have to go to the headquarters and see. It's like I'm not sure, but I think it's some like 30,000 people working there. It's got football courts and baseball courts, gyms, restaurants, and everything. It's like a city, but the people do not live in the city. You need to check in. So actually, you cannot just go and go through the barriers. Check in, check out. It's like a huge airport, but it is a city. And apart from the trips, Samsung has got a very big, maybe the largest ecosystem of devices. And this is where the aim now is that Bixby, the digital assistant, is going to integrate and link all these devices. So the fridge will be talking to your car, and the car to your TV, the TV to your vacuum, and your vacuum to your phone. So all of these devices, when they get linked together, they will need to have a voice. And this is the voice that the team is building here. And the voice should have, like gender or no gender, and should have styles. So it should be expressive or not expressive or neutral, and should have also like dialects and many languages. So, as I said, in the group, we are very, very proud that we are the best practice for acquisition for acquired companies in the whole group across the world because of the very quick integration of the technology, but also for the very good collaboration between the teams here and HQ and the other teams around the world. Obviously, it's a mutual beneficial relationship, so everyone is gaining from that. But at the same time, it's also a school for everyone because we learn how to work, with other teams that we didn't have that when we were a small company. And also, the company is learning how to work with a research company that became a commercial team. So that's us. That's the team here in Greece, and this is the area that we have also like a football, and I'm trying, to beat everyone, but every time I'm beaten. So these are maybe everyone who has beaten me in football. And we are very proud that we are able to attract maybe the best talent in the field in Greece and continue to grow the team. So if I talk a bit more about the technology, the aim is to do more with Bixby, so even more devices, more languages, and develop the ecosystem, but at the same time be more open. So now the Bixby Assistant has got an SDK which researchers or app developers can download it and play with that and try our voices or try the speech recognition and all the other modules so as to develop new applications for the Bixby ecosystem. If I can go a bit deeper now in the digital assistant area, which is what Bixby is, there are many challenges. And these are, accuracy, personalization, and context. So accuracy is that the digital assistant has to understand what the user wants. Exactly. So if I ask, what's the time, I don't want to to know the time in London. I want what's the time now. And if I say what's the time in Athens, I want to know what's the time in Athens here and not in Athens, Georgia in the US. So these are the things that, the digital assistant doesn't always know how to handle. It needs to be personalized, and that's one of the challenges because you might need another voice. So like Apple has got Siri, but what if you want, for example, if I want my son's or my daughter's voice on my device, and to make the experience fully personalized, and also the context. The digital assistant ideally would adapt to the what I have done in the past and what where I am and what I'm doing now. So if I want to say, what's the weather now, and I want to do some exercise, it might respond to me. It would be a great challenge to respond to me what if what the weather is for jogging, and not just generally for the city itself. So digital assistants are not just smart speakers. They are not just a speaker that just press the button and plays music. There is a lot of technology inside. Apart from text to speech, there is a speech recognition. There are many NLP modules behind that, and many other like hardware technologies in there. But there is also character inside. So the digital assistants, they have to be efficient, they have to be consistent, as I said, personalized, and the experience has to be ubiquitous. And going now a bit deeper for the languages, there are some like 7,100 languages across the world, and only 6% of those languages are spoken by more than 1 million people. So that means that, a digital assistant and especially a text-to-speech technology has to address that. And if we go and talk about, languages and dialects and idioms, then the challenge becomes even bigger. So, for example, Greek has got some like 6 dialects, I think, and 7 idioms. But if you go to Indian, you've got 22 official languages and some like 700 plus dialects. So if you actually want to provide a personalized experience, then the challenge for smart assistants and the text-to-speech technology is just like huge. And that's why, AI is a starting point, it's not the solution. And, data is the king. So everyone is talking about, give me more data and we need recordings and we need to do this and collect everyone and crawl the web and whatever. But, it's not only data. So many times context is the queen, and many times data and context is not enough, to talk brilliantly or according to what the user would expect. So if I can sum up, I'm just going for 30 minutes because I understand it's lunchtime, so I don't want to get that delayed. I have a few takeaway messages. So that's a photo I took maybe half an hour down the coast from here. The sea is not going to be calm. The sea is, if it's calm, it's boring. You cannot do kite, you cannot do sailing, you cannot do all this nice stuff. It's nice, just to say on the coast. So the sea is going to be like that. It has got many ups and downs, and you need to take this decision, and you need to be persistent. So whether you stay in academia or you go for a job in the industry, doing research, applied research or blue sky research or whatever, you need to be focused and you need to be persistent. Whether you have ups and downs or difficulty in order to get to the other side of the coast, you need to be focused and be there. You need to be resilient. And a very important thing that we got to learn is that you have to be open-minded, talk to people, talk to potential customers, talk to friends, to investors. No one is going to steal your idea. Ideas are just there. You are going to take action for yourself. That's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, George. This paradigm of setting up a company without actually having to go for funding, which relies on the fact that the core team is already employed by an employer. Okay, in this case, it was Athena Research Center, is actually quite valuable, and especially for us here and similar endeavors. I think it's good to have this angle. And just to say a bit anecdotally, and since Alex and me go, a long way back. The founder of ILSP, as you know very well, the Institute of Language and Speech Processing here in Greece, was our dear professor in Greece at NTUA, Professor George Karagiannis, back then late professor now. Yeah. And I must say that I don't believe he could have foreseen all of that, right? That all this fundamental.
He was actually the person that inspired the team, the research team, to set up the company.
Yes, so, I am not surprised. I'm not surprised. He was actually a true technologist, very much, let's say, he was a lover of informatics and computer science. But he was also one of those people who wanted to bring things to the market. I remember one of the first, let's say, outputs of the company, by the way, started as a European project. I want to say that. Okay, there was a European project called Euro Translation. Eurotra was the abbreviation, and he was the coordinator of the Greek part of this project, Eurotra GR. Okay, so this project went on for years and years. He built a team. Okay, it became, suddenly, it looked like a company, but it was not a company. It was just a European project, like what we are in this room. And after the funding ended, and I think there were a few rounds of funding by the European Commission, he was left with like 30, 40 people in a building. He was renting a building in Neopsychiko, very close to Mesogion Avenue. And by the way, half the people were linguists, the other half were engineers. That was rare to see together. He had Professor Babiniotis, the top linguist academic, perceived at least in the country, as his top advisor there. And then he was left with a choice. What do I do with all these people and all this know-how? And what he did is, there was a choice there whether I should go to private funding, okay, or to go towards the public sector. And, in casual discussions, because I did my master's thesis with him, you probably did the same, Alex, at NTUA. And I advised him towards the private, and he did not listen, thankfully. He went to the minister. Okay. The Minister of Education at the time, who was Andreas Andrianopoulos, if I recall well, okay, who basically supported him to make this a government-sponsored entity, and it became a research institute, which means he had the right now to start hiring people on the public payroll, okay, and that's how it became a public research institute. And one of the first products he made very early on, before the internet, before any of that stuff, before even Windows, okay, was a software for teaching kids in remote schools in Greece, schools close to the borders that did not have actual teachers there, or there was one teacher for 6 classes or something. So to assist that. And there was a mock-up person that was trying to teach history to the kids, almost like, with very basic graphics at the time, etc., but with some synthetic voice to teach to them, pretending he was Homer and teach the Odyssey and all those things. So, of course, this man, okay, made a big impact, in all this thing. And it's a very nice model to keep in mind as well. So, your research institution or your university, etc., the fact that they're also even short-term employers, okay, is very powerful, because it may help you not need to get all the not need to go to Alex and ask for millions, and then he'll come and grab your, half of it, or what? Okay, I'm joking.
Don't get me wrong.
Right?
I like Alex.
Yeah, me too. But it's good that there is an alternative model, and we see that it's out there. So thank you very much. Do we have any other questions for George? Yes, Jimmy.
Thank you. So I was wondering how big a role the use case has played in your development, because you started out with just text-to-speech as like a core technology, but now you're focused very much on these personal assistants.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, we are still developing text-to-speech. So there are many modules that the digital assistant has got. We are still focusing on text-to-speech, so the voices. But because the technology now has gone more like is wider. So if you use neural networks, you can use neural networks for various other components too. So we try to expand and we touch also other modules. But our focus still continues to be the text-to-speech technology of Bixby. So, that was at the beginning, and this is still the case as a focus.
By the way, that's another very nice lesson for small countries like Greece. You often see successful startup teams that get acquired by big multinational companies, that they have a team here which actually builds a part of the product for the entire globe. So that's you guys are doing this.
Yeah.
Our other classmate Iason Vasiliou was doing that for Broadcom. They were doing RF design for the product here in Greece, a team of 10 people for the entire company. So we may think sometimes the country is small, or we don't have enough people, the appeal is global, and you could be having a niche, that is useful to the entire
So
company.
this is what we say, when we hire people or interns, we say, work locally, but have impact globally.
I think there's another question by Marco. Yeah.
You are doing the difficult question, so be soft, please.
It might be not difficult, but maybe embarrassing, depending how you take it. How much of how would you say the company has changed after after the acquisition from such a large corporation, in good and bad?
Clearly to the better. We were a small company, and our vision was to have a global impact and have our technology in many devices across the world. And we have managed to achieve this through Samsung. Our technology goes in more than 500 million devices a year. And that's great, when you realize, the impact that what you build, what the impact is. Obviously, there have been changes. So, big corporation is more bureaucratic. It's not, the startup that we used to be, and the fully flexible things that we were doing. But we are very happy because we are trying to figure out our way through this bigger family, and continue to have the same impact. So clearly, it's to the better.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions in the chat? No. Okay. If not, let's conclude this pre-lunch session. Let me thank again personally all the speakers. And it's now lunchtime, so we'll resume at 3 o'clock. Lunch will be served at the cafeteria, same place as yesterday. And see you all at 3. Thanks.
Thank you.